Call the meeting to order. Establish a roll call down there. I see we have Don Brown down there.
Present.
Got David Briggs.
Present.
Yep. And Jerry Anderson. And we have Wayne Sherrard.
Yes, sir.
We are missing Christina today, but she called in. She said she wasn't gonna be here, but we do have a quorum. And we have an open position as well that we're gonna talk about today a little bit. We've got some guests. Got Paul Wolf, USDA. Do you have a bunch of other USDA guys?
There is actually, so I'll go ahead and introduce themselves. Toby McAdams, conflict prevention biologist based out of Jackson County.
Frank Weaver, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
And I see we've got Nick Leonetti with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and
Wayne Springs.
Yeah.
Douglas County Wildlife Prevention Conflict Specialist.
perfect. Wow, thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah.
We'll go through some of the stuff we've gotta get done and talk about and if you guys have something you wanna add, we'll do it then, huh? Sure. One of the things that we wanna talk about is open positions, so we're gonna have to go out for recruitment for that. Junior no longer lives in Douglas County, so we'll have to look for someone. We need someone that is, I don't remember what the exact term is, but it is someone that is, can live compatibly with wolves or something to that effect. Anyway, so we'll go out for recruitment on that and let you know, and we'll have a list of people that we can do that with.
Okay.
We are tomorrow going to, the Board of Commissioners will reappoint, I think Jerry and David both, isn't it? Jerry and David both are on the
Yes.
agenda for tomorrow to reappoint their terms. Everybody else is on for a few more years, so whether you like it or not, I guess. So grant money expenditures, we didn't have a meeting last year, because we had pretty good inventory of stuff, we still do. Flattery and cameras and some fencing stuff. The grant application will open up again in February. We'll look at what that is again this time and see if there's maybe a different process for that or a different thing. I don't know if anybody wanted to have some suggestions for some usage for the grant money. Go for it.
Can I just back up?
Sure.
Refresh my memory though. When did we last meet and what,
December of 2022, I believe.
okay, do we have some minutes from then?
Oh. I did have them, but
You
didn't
did?
get into my packet.
Just didn't give them out.
I guess not, so. Just a moment and I'll get those.
So,
But they were attached in the email that I sent out.
I thought they were, but I didn't print my email, sorry, so I didn't bring them.
Get us some there. Okay, yeah.
You know, as far as the application process, I'm thinking that we could circle back to that at the end of the meeting.
Perfect.
Cause we're gonna discuss what some of the other counties do, and that may impact what we might want or need.
Yep. Yep,
Would that be all right?
Yep, yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
We've got just a few things on the agenda, so we can go in whatever order you wanna do this in. Included in your stuff is a map of Oregon wolf activity and whatnot, that, we've got Paul here, do you wanna give us a little update on?
That would be Fish Toby's W's.
Sure.
Could you go ahead? Yeah.
Give us a little update really before we go on, if you wouldn't mind going to the podium, that'd be great though, cause that way we can pick it up on, thank you.
Sure.
I'm Nick Leonetti with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. I'm the acting district biologist for Douglas County right now. I've been kind of the de facto wolf guy for ODFW for the county in conjunction with Sam Dodenhoff, who is our Southwest wolf biologist. Currently, we have one known pack in Douglas County. The Indigo Pack, right now they're at 6 members. They have breeding pair, 2 sub-adults, and 2 pups from this year. And we have other stuff going on that we can't quite pin down. We had a recent sighting on the north side of Douglas County on the Lane County border, up out of Hills Creek Reservoir, Mosby Creek, right up in there that came in last week. We've had trail camera pictures, tracks, scat down the Jackson Creek drainage right on the south end of the county. And that's the 3 main activity points we have right now. Other than that, we're fully aware that there's other wolves coming through the county. There's a lot of dispersing wolves coming out of northeast Oregon, and those are almost impossible to keep track of. So we do our best, we have cameras out, we work with our partners with Fish and Wildlife Service, Forest Service, and BLM. But at this point, that's where we're at with those 1 known pack and 2 suspected activity areas.
Did you say, Nick, that we had 1 depredation?
No depredations.
No.
Yep, we have had no confirmed depredations in Douglas County to date. So our neighbors to the south in Jackson and southeast in Klamath, they are having issues. But the Indigo Pack has not been documented in any wildlife or livestock depredations.
And is that, I'm assuming, mainly due to the distance between them and livestock?
It's probably mostly locale, yeah, so they're all the way up right by Lamolo and Diamond Lake. And so that's probably the majority of the reason, they just haven't been exposed to it and they haven't learned that behavior.
Are we running collars on any of these wolves anymore?
Yes.
I know we have before, but are
Yeah.
we still doing it?
It's an ongoing pet peeve of mine. We get these $3,000 radio collars, GPS collars, and put them out, and they seem to have a knack for failing within the first 6 months to 12 months. So we have we have 2 collars in the pack right now. 1 failed completely. 1 has basic radio telemetry capabilities, so we can go up and listen for it, but it's not sending us locations or waypoints. So the Indigo Pack is a pack that is on the priority list for getting a collar into. So every year we're trying to put a new active collar out. And maybe one of these years, one of the dang things will work properly.
Because if I remember right, that was part of the problem with the Langlois issue, was it was a collared wolf whose collar had quit working, so they weren't really sure what it was for a while, am I right on that? And then they discovered it was a wolf that they had just not really.
Once we had depredations, then the Wildlife Services employee documented that, and then we were able to backpedal. Because there was rumor that there was an animal in the area, it did not have a collar, but there was camera photos further down in southern Curry County, and then photographic evidence later on through trail cameras, we were able to count these things again. So, and then that animal is now.
Question?
Yeah. I've been in contact with Jackson County person, Jackson Bowers, I think that's pronounced his name. And anyway, looking through some of their minutes, the road pack has seen the highest amount of depredation or attempted.
I believe that is correct for the state of Oregon.
Does the road pack cross into Douglas County on occasion?
Very infrequently. Same thing they have an issue with is not keeping working collars on there. And so they have some anecdotal evidence that there's been the road pack close to the Douglas County border, but not spent any time in Douglas County yet.
And is it grown to the point of starting to split off wolves?
I'm just a poor lowly Douglas County guy, so I don't know the exact details on what's happening in Jackson right now.
No, I wasn't worried about Jackson, I'm just wondering about the possibility of disbursement into Douglas County from that pack in
There's
particular.
always a possibility with wolves. The way they cover ground, move, utilize landscape, if they're not coming from the Jackson County, they could be coming all the way out of northeast down to Douglas. And I think that's why these meetings are important.
And it seems odd to me that as much time has gone by, as much time as that's been established, you know, and even the other pack that's up there, that it hasn't grown more. I mean, do they have that much mortality rate naturally?
Yeah, especially on the pups. So pups making it to year 1 is, especially it seems like in Western Oregon, doesn't happen very often. We have a very low survival rate on our wolves in Western Oregon.
No known cause on that?
Not with pups, with our wolf management plan, we're not collaring pups, so we don't get those fine details. We can't be there to see what killed it.
Any other questions for Nick? Well, thanks for that.
No problem.
Don't go anywhere, we may need you again.
Right.
You know, one of the things, I guess, that we really gotta get done today is to, you know, review our rates for compensation and get that done. I mean, that's probably our most important thing, because anything else we can back to the stuff to apply the grant for in February, if need be, once we get that grant application, if it's much different than normal or whatever, we can call another meeting, get that done, but we need to get these rates established, so. In your packet is a Jackson County's rates, I don't know what you all think, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. More than happy to go with that, but I'm more than happy to listen to what all you have to say about it too. I know you had some thoughts on it, David, what are you thinking?
Well, I like the fact that Jackson County has been consistent. And they've got a good procedure for getting that taken care of in terms of if there is depredation. I looked at Klamath counties as well, and I didn't get any information back from them in time to really send it out to the committee. And it's not really significantly different, except that it doesn't have a lot of information like Jackson County has. So I'm pretty happy to utilize what Jackson County did. I like the fact that they've got it broken up somewhat into on cattle, a calf and yearling, difference there, and the cow. I believe, and I couldn't go back to it, but I do believe that this rate that I have here is good through the end of January 2025.
That's what Jackson County did, yeah.
And I think they have a proposed increase for 2025 through 2026. And the one difference I recall was, I believe the mature cow was at 2,200 and a bull was at 4,000. And that's really not too, that's not very far off. You know, cows and bulls are definitely a lot more expensive than they were.
Can you go through the rates?
Oh, yeah.
Do that, did you have a question on
Yeah, that was one of my questions.
going through the rates?
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to read it or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. They've got horses listed at 3,000, working dogs at 2,000, mature sheep at 300 / refer to sale prices, whatever that means. The same, and lambs $300 refer to sale prices. Calves up to $650, 1,500.
650 pounds.
1,600. Yeah,
650
sorry.
pounds, yeah.
And yearlings up to 1,000 pounds at 1,800. Mature cow at $1,800. A bull at 3,500. Llamas at 200. Goats at 300. And swine cannot be compensated for.
Why is a llama only 200? That's just sad.
Just a comment. I talked to Wallowa County today, and they determine their prices for cattle basically in the fall, which is the normal time that they market. And they compare video sales, auction yard sales, and that type of thing, and come up with sometime in September, October, what they're going to be offering based on current market. As we all know, markets change all the time, seasonally. One of the things I would suggest on sheep is our lambs are marketed mainly in May, June. So I think July would be a good time to look and establish a market value then. The other is on bulls. They're 3,500 to 4,000. They're way under what the market is if you go to any bull sales. We sell bulls annually, we average $7,000-8,000 for yearling bulls. The other thing that we're working on right now, the Oregon Cattlemen and Organization of County Commissioners is presenting a bill to the legislature for, to get it passed. It'll pay 7-1 on confirmed or probable, that there will be no compensation for losses above normal. And so what we're giving up is losses above normal in return for a 7-1. And the reason we did that is because studies show that for every confirmed or probable kill, there's 8 others that are not. And that's how we came up with that compensation package. That's only if we can get it passed. But my suggestion would be on the prices is to, determine when Douglas County producers normally sell their livestock and establish pricing based on, various outlets and that type of thing. Jackson County's not very far off except for their mature animals, especially bulls. The other is horses.
The problem with bulls though, Beryl, is by the time that yearling bull gets to be 3, he's not worth that.
No, you're right.
And, the normal longevity of a bull in situations is probably 3 to 4 years. So I'm not sure how to, work that in.
Yeah.
I think that's an outlier.
The other part of that is, for an example, to buy a good ranch saddle horse now, you're paying $15,000-20,000. I think maybe you ought to offer the opportunity for someone, if they have a loss of a valuable animal, to show its value and compensate based on what they paid. For an example, livestock guardian dogs. They're priced anywhere from $500 to $1,500 or more.
One of the things I would suggest maybe we do today is actually entertain a motion and accept this rate schedule for to get us through until we actually, just because this is so much better than what we got right now. Let's get this one on the books, and then they're gonna come out with a new one, and we can turn right around and have this discussion again in another 2 months if you don't mind doing that. But I'd like to get something now to cover everybody now. Unless you think we can get to a point where you feel comfortable going, we don't have to meet again for a while, but kind of feels like we need to meet again in maybe February.
I would agree with that assessment for sure.
We could
But-
redo the rates and go over the grant application.
It's probably a good idea to just take this the way it is and get it on the books just in case. Knowing that we are gonna make adjustments, as time goes on. So far, we've been lucky we haven't had any depredation. It's been confirmed it would have been able to been compensated.
Well, that's my only fear of not doing something right now is that,
Yeah.
take this, get it on the,
And Beryl brings up some good points, I'm not gonna argue with that. But this is a pretty comprehensive one, every wolf committee throughout the state, it appears, has a different one.
well, that's one of the things that I would commit to you that we can do between now and if we decide that we're gonna have another meeting in February, we can review the other counties' rates, like Wallowa County, and try to get that.
Are there other counties that don't have wolves, that don't have a need, like we don't have a need, but may need eventually,
I
that we
wouldn't
can
know
compare
that.
to? That'd be my interest.
I don't know how many counties have stood up an advisory board and have never actually
Some
had.
that are just starting to stand up. The other thing, did you get an email from OCA about the group meeting? So they're trying to get all the compensation committees together. All, and so it's for the people, I'm assuming you may have gotten the email, but you need to talk to Sunny Summers.
Okay.
And just say, hey, the next time that meeting, and there should be a meeting coming up in
I think that
January?
was like, her name was like Lydia or
Sunny Summers.
Letitia or, but the lady that does the thing, but
Okay.
yeah.
So I would encourage you to be a part of that, if there's somebody from the committee that wants to be a part of that and listen in. Sunny told me directly that you guys can just contact her and say, add me to the list. I think it's a very good thing, because there is so much difference between different counties and how they're operating, and some people are very new to the program, that they have wolf problems, but they don't know where to start, and that's what they're trying to facilitate, is everybody to be able to talk to one another and help lean on each other, so there's some good things happening. Western Landowners Alliance was the ones that kind of helped facilitate that with ODA. ODA is now picking that up, so I encourage you to be involved in that. Somebody participate would be good.
Now, is it possible to participate by Zoom or Teams or?
It was a Teams call, I believe. Jackson was on it. A lot of the administrators were on that call. I think some of the administrators may have brought in some of the folks, but
I think
it's all
Jackson,
pretty intimate between them.
Yeah. I think Jackson Bowers mentioned that when I spoke with him yesterday. That sounds like good informational.
Well, if we can find it, we'll get it
Yeah,
out to you.
I'll send it to everybody, I'll let Sunny know, and if there's a meeting invite that we can get on, or register for, we'll do that.
And she said to me, is like, even if somebody comes on and they're like, yeah, this isn't for me, she's okay with taking you back off the list.
So,
So you want a motion to adopt these for now?
I'm, make sure there's no more discussion on it, or if everybody thought that was a good idea, but if,
Yeah.
I don't wanna ramrod that through, but I thought it would be a good idea.
Covers this for now.
Yeah. And, you know, until we meet again, and we probably need to do it sooner than later. Get some more information, but yeah, I would like to see a motion on that.
I'd make a motion that we accept the rates that are presented with the ability to change them as we move on. I'll second that.
Alright, we've got a motion and a second. Can I hear all those in favor? Say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that carried. So, we've got our work cut out for us, Jennifer. You know what we're gonna do, we're gonna make sure these get in there and updated to the state, and then we need to make sure that we try to do a little research and because of that, and then you wanna try it, you guys okay with coming, trying to do it again in February? Okay, do that.
when is the grant application due? The end of February or?
They usually only give us about 2 weeks, it seems like.
It's online right now. So go to the website, they just updated the website, I think the grant, the paperwork is right there.
Okay.
Yeah, is what she said.
But when is the deadline?
That's earlier than usual, cause it's usually, but they award them the end of February is when it's due, and then it's like April or end of March that they're awarded.
Normally they get, in the past, it seems like we've gotten them within about 2 weeks and that was due. But, and they, you know, it's gotta, you know.
I'd like to meet prior to the deadline for the
That's
grant.
That's right, no, that's exactly right, that's what we're gonna do. Yep, we'll go over the application and do that, I think that's exactly what we'll do. As Soon as we get that in, and maybe it's in January, that's fine too. And then, alright, you know what we're doing there. Let's see. We talked about that, what's we got on here, so. Tabled a few things, moved them around. Got general just information, anything anybody wants to bring up or talk about? Anything down
Is that under number 6 or where is that?
here? Well, we did,
I guess I'd like to talk about number 6 even if we have.
oh, okay, yeah, sure, yeah,
That.
that was what I called
Okay.
them up for, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the things I've been kind of thinking about, having some concern over is hearing from the agencies that are dealing with the wolves around our county. Is there a way that you can give us an idea of where our most likely problem is gonna occur first? I mean, is there a priority that Tiller and Jackson County, or Jackson Creek rather, or where's some landowners that are gonna be affected that are in pretty close proximity to activity?
So,
Well, we can also, no, I was gonna say, it's a crapshoot, right? I mean, it really is. Our best ability to address that is by getting boots on the ground, which is what we started to do, right? So Fish and Wildlife Service is helping pay for a body for us to start doing education and a lot of preventative stuff if we can. Part of that is working with ODFW and US Fish and Wildlife Service. So I can't give you a point and say this is likely where it's gonna happen, but the more we get boots on the ground and start helping these guys do some more surveillance, that we may have a better answer for you, but right now it's a complete crapshoot. I wish I had a.
Can you say east of Roseburg? Can you narrow it down?
Would that help you?
So that's pretty
I mean, in a general area, sure, you know, cause that's where we know wolves are at, it's like up there in the Indigo Pack area and Rug Pack. It's like closer proximity to the wolves, yeah, you could probably with a straight face say, yeah, that's at risk.
And the reason I'm asking for that, you know, one of the things that Jackson County does is they have a contract with Wildlife Services to help pick up deads and bone piles and things like that. And they, you know, we don't wanna do that countywide if there's not the exposure risk. But Jackson County they had $2,000 budgeted approximately for that. And they take them to their landfill. Now, I don't know if Douglas County's landfill accepts.
You do.
Okay. But Jackson County spent $900 and few odd dollars, I can't remember the amount, but it's approximately $900 in carcass removal on various things. And that's kind of a low hanging fruit in terms of trying to keep the conflict from happening.
And it helps with a lot of other things too, right? So even though we're focused on wolves, but removing any carcasses off the landscape helps with other predators being pulled in. So our raven issues that happen, raven depredations, crow depredations, bringing coyotes in, when we're removing those carcasses and bringing those up, it's helping also our county trappers in addition. So we see that a lot down south. And so Colby spends a lot of time, he gets calls from ranchers, say, hey, I got an animal that just tipped over, or we've got a bunch of bones that need to get picked up. And the more we have interactions with the ranching community, the more they ask us to come in and start helping them with other stuff to get prepared for wolf stuff.
So what would you guys need to start a program like that in Douglas County and let's say east of I-5 to start with?
Minimal, I mean, I'm just saying minimal right now, because right now we've got a full-time person, help paying for disposal fees and help with education, just helping us so we can continue to educate. So just financial support that way will go wonders. Well, cameras, I know we have some cameras, I don't know if they're being used.
No, they're not.
We might as well use them, because we've got somebody that can go deploy them. He's working very closely with ODFW, Fish and Wildlife right now. So typically, we operate right on ranches, because that's our jurisdiction when it comes to conflict prevention and resolution with human wildlife conflicts. But Fish and Wildlife Service, ODFW, they have areas that we can go help them with, so we have a very good, solid relationship. So I'd say let's use those cameras if we could. Obviously, it's not something we're gonna do right this second, but we also have 2 cameras right now, so we've got, I don't know, how many you guys have, 2?
I'm not sure.
Whatever you got, we've got 2 that are cellular. We could probably use some more of those to get those out, especially because some of the ranchers do tell us like, hey, I think there's wolves up here, we're getting feedback, and they're not necessarily telling ODF&W, but that's what our agency comes in, is to kind of work as the intermediate, so.
Okay, one of the other things I thought about too is that, I'm sure that the other counties work real close with their livestock association. And if we could have information we can send out through the livestock association as to these are preventative things and they're more important to do than you realize. So step up and start doing this. Some of it we're doing on our own, some of us, but not all of us.
Right.
But if there's, opportunity, and I don't know if there's money in the grant to help pay for carcass removal to help, pay the county.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at it in a couple of years, but it was real narrow when you didn't have any depredation. It was real narrow what you could use it on, and I don't know what it'll be like this year, and we'll have to look at that when we get it, we should get together and do it, but if it's, it may be completely different now.
Yeah.
We didn't qualify for nothing really, but some defensive measures, because of the fact that we were still at zero.
But as we continue to do more education, and then we can report out that, hey, this is I'll tell you, Sunny eats that up for all the counties, so when we're doing that, I give them report on, hey, these are our activities that happened, that helps.
Well, maybe we could lobby to have the rules changed that we don't have to wait for a depredation to be able to take some of these steps. I mean, we got
No,
rules.
we do them now, I'm gonna tell you right now, getting ahead of it and starting to be proactive and with education part of things is key, that's why the depredations, rogue pack used to be the worst pack in the state. Until, since we've been involved, we've kept those down to a minimal. I mean, they still gonna kill, but we've kept it down with some of our activities, and so we started using drones. And that's been a good thing. So we're trying a lot of different tools right now.
And that, honestly, Paul and I had a discussion here before this meeting, that a couple of weeks ago, and I told him, to your point, the administrator of this program though before was such that this last time we came around said, hey, really, do you guys need to have any more of that flattery? And, he was pushing us not to even apply for another grant so they could use the money elsewhere.
One of the things I see that we really need to work on, and Oregon Fish and Wildlife are, the way they count wolves, and that is, not very effective. They're probably counting less than half of the wolves that are in Oregon. And they're not very successful, and they won't be using flyovers in the wintertime like they do in Eastern Oregon, where it's more open. One of the things I suggested to Paul is that we need to get some cameras out in areas where people have thought they've seen wolves, or you see scat or tracks or whatever. For the last 5 years, I've had loggers and hunters tell me that there's wolves on Mount Scott. And my neighbor, who's a log truck driver, saw 4 one morning. And so I think that's a hot area where we need to get some cameras out. One of the really important thing is right now we're in phase 1 of the wolf management plan. There have never been any wolves killed under phase 1, assuming that we get wolves delisted. So we gotta get to phase 3. In order to get to phase 3, we've gotta have enough wolves counted that we can be in phase 3. And then if we have some depredations, we can remove the wolves that are doing it. And so we need to be really proactive about helping find out where they're at, getting counts and that type of thing, and helping Oregon Fish and Wildlife and US Fish and Wildlife identify where those wolves are. So those cameras and strategic places is, really important.
Well, that's what the last grant did, we bought cameras, so we've got that.
Well, and I have questions about that for ODF and W. Is there any kind of elk counts going on Mount Scott? I mean, that ought to tell you, the biggest problem we have with this whole wolf thing is sustainability, right? I mean, that's why they get in trouble. And it's no secret that the Cascades has been in trouble with their elk recruitment for years. So my question is, are we really, as a department, looking at elk populations within Douglas County and what they're looking at? Because I think that ought to pretty much be telling on how long we got before those suckers come in here and get in trouble, because they're gonna have to, right? They gotta eat something. And as long as we got them on the landscape, if our elk population continues to dwindle, then they have to go somewhere. And that's when we're gonna have issues. So are we watching that? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
Depending on the English lion, the Indigo unit, the Rock Creek is doing that, every year, every other year, so we're doing surveys.
And that was to my point earlier, I mean, it seems to me like we should have had trouble by now.
I would
So-
think so.
The Indigo Pack has gotten into a little bit of trouble, actually. They just weren't in Douglas County. They went over the line and started chasing livestock over there.
Over in Lane County or something?
It was, is that considered Lane County? That's Klamath County, actually, where they were, when they went over. So, and then what happened is the fires were there, and then, again, goes back to education. The rancher, he's got photos of the wolves chasing, and then he didn't realize our services were available. And then he's like, where have you guys been the last 3 years? And we're like, well, we didn't know that this problem was here. So they're getting into trouble, just we're not aware of it. They're over there, so.
Well, that's, we're,
Right.
probably where all the game is too, so, you know. Yeah, I mean, we burn up our forests, so they don't have any place to live.
That's why they were there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that's something that is a big focus on how we're gonna sustain these dudes over time. I mean, I know that Colorado's recently decided that they wanted to take on wolves, and it didn't take them very long to get into trouble. Sustainability is huge. If we're not looking to figure that out, then we know eventually it is just, we're gonna be faced with all this stuff. And it's gonna be a continuing and ongoing problem, because if we're not putting elk and critters they like to eat back on the landscape, well, as long as these guys keep on breeding critters, they're gonna keep on eating them for them. So how are we gonna battle that? I think that's one of the biggest things we really need to look at. How are we gonna provide sustainability for them? Cause if we can't, aren't we gonna be right back to the 30s? We're gonna have to remove them all, right? So what are we doing, wasting all this time and money on these dang wolves if we're gonna end up having to kill them here in another 15 years? It seems silly, really. I mean, and I hate to be an advocate for the wolf. It's in some regards, but really, he's just doing what he does. Man, he doesn't know any different. And he wasn't asked to be put back on here. That was US Fish and Wildlife, somebody's idea there. They thought that'd be a great idea. But now we're faced with a lot more money problems than we were before we just had left them into Canada. So I don't know.
All true.
I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know.
Pretty much.
But really, it's sad and it's silly, I think.
Well, and, you know, and on top of the potential wolf problems, we have an oversupply of bear and cougar. And we've got no way of controlling, them. You know, 30 years ago on our place, it was very common to see 40-headed deer come down the pastures and eat. If I see 2 or 3 anymore, that's a lot.
Well, and I was gonna say something earlier about, you know, the wolf, and it part of me wonders if we really have that many more than what we think. Maybe we do, you know, I mean, logic seems like you do, but you can't go 10 feet in the woods anymore without hitting somebody's trail camera, and it just seems like we'd have these constant pictures of wolves. And I know myself, I've got a few cameras, don't I, Wayne? I've got a few trail cameras, and to your point, man, what I get is bears. I mean, it is an amazing amount of bears. Per square mile, it's just shocking how many bears we have. And I was thinking earlier when you said that you don't know why on the west side these pups don't make it very well, I was just wondering if the bears have something to do with it. You know,
Yeah.
cause it's just amazing me how many we get. But anyway, that's just anecdotal.
Well, are they susceptible to diseases like parvo and stuff like that, or?
Fargo distemper is a big one.
They are.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be our biggest saving grace there. It keeps them down to a minimum. Honestly, I don't know, right? they're only having two, I mean, there's no way they're only having two in a litter, there's gotta be more than that coming out, I'd think. And if
Yeah.
only two are surviving,
It varies from year to year. We've had up to 6 come out of that area before.
Mm.
But back, like what Earl and Paul are saying, the prevention and getting in front of it and working with the processes you have is what we need to focus on this one. Because we can't control when or where they come from. If they disperse from Jackson County or Wallowa County, we just need to be ready for it, the best that we can.
Well, maybe we'll have some opportunity to have some of that, you know, carcass removal stuff on the grant, that would be great. That seems like a good use of that.
yeah.
And the more we use it, the more the reward you.
Yeah.
I don't recall that ever being on any of the grant before, but it certainly could be on new. It's been a couple years, so they probably realize the value of that. I know it was always in the literature, they always talk about it, but maybe now they realize there's value in it. And, yeah. You guys got anything else for the good order here? Or-
Yeah.
Okay, go for it. Keep up talking.
Do we have an inventory of the stuff that is in the county lockup?
We do somewhere, you were just looking for it a second ago.
When does it get reviewed?
What?
When do you get it audited? How much is still there?
It's all still there. We haven't used any of it. It has its own section of storage out at our fleet warehouse.
It's
So
a
there's,
its own locked in area and
it's,
all
yeah,
that?
Yeah, it does have.
Yep.
Okay. How would we allow them, the wildlife services, them being, how would we allow them access to it? What's the procedure for that?
It was, it's been a while since, but it seemed to me like that somebody, a rancher or somebody, and I think that would qualify as somebody, makes a request to this committee, this body, to check out that stuff. You know, and they make that request and
we'd have it pulled and brought
Yeah.
first here for pickup, cause it's a secure location where it is, it's all gated, you can't just go
Yeah.
in there.
How does anybody here know how Jackson County operates that? Cause I mean, they do the similar thing as far as
Oh, go ahead.
storing it at their county facilities, but.
So we actually have a storage container at the Parks and Recs area.
The Wolf Committee has a storage container.
Yes.
Okay.
The Wolf Committee has a storage container. And I have 24/7 access to it. So I have a gate code to get into the gates, I have the conduit to get into the storage container. And all I do is go in, grab what I need and return it when I'm done with it.
Wonder if that's common with other wolf committees statewide or what, how they do that. Yes,
So
it's-
in Klamath, it's very similar, but the Fish and Wildlife Service has a compound, enclosed compound, we have access to that, it's the same kind of deal, it's not on its spot. That, I would
I'm
tell
just
you-
thinking, you know, for the rancher to make the request, I think it'd be better if it came from wildlife services to the county rather than from the rancher. I mean, ultimately, the rancher has the issue.
So, and I, you know, and I don't know, I mean, but I will tell you that the way we're doing it is the way, when the program was set up, that's the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, it didn't say that you have this available, that somebody could go in there and do that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's probably just morphed to that. And, you know, but it said that they had to make a formal request to the committee for whatever defensive measures, and we divvy it out however, but it makes more sense to me if US Fish and Wildlife or USDA or somebody was doing it. I mean, that makes more sense really,
That was my thinking.
and we're not talking about a ton here, so we can do it either way.
No, it just, we sign off, like, right, so you know that we took it and we went to X rancher, or
Yeah.
wherever it went. So there's some accountability from the warehouse to out in the field, and then, you know, stuff gets broken, cattle break cameras, you know.
And I don't,
It is what it is.
I certainly don't mind doing it that way, but I would still want it to go through this office.
When
Oh, absolutely.
We'd want to track it.
I don't want it to go through the committee. 'Cause I
Right,
mean,
well, that's
yeah.
fine if we want it, I mean, if,
Yeah,
So if Paul needed some cameras, he could let you know.
yeah,
and-
we could take care of that.
Yeah.
As long as the committee doesn't have a problem with that.
Sounds like they could use some cameras.
Yeah, I'm making a request right now, I can use some cameras.
If we have them just sitting there.
yeah. Yeah, and if, I don't know if you can do it by consensus or if you want a motion to that effect, but I would much rather, I'd be much more happy to have the request go directly to your office and not have to convene a meeting by email or phone or anything
Well,
else.
then what I'd like a motion to say is that the committee is delegating this office to have that authority.
I would make a motion that the committee delegate county commissioner's office to have the authority to release necessary wolf equipment as requested by Wildlife Services.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, any discussion for the vote? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. You just got some more power.
Good.
So that, coming back to this, we're gonna be accepting applications now for a period of time and probably until we meet again for somebody that supports wolf conservation or coexistence with wolves. So that's the person that we're missing. So if you know of anybody, anybody from out here that you wanna apply, that can say those things and then, and be somebody that can get along with people too, that's important. So we'll be looking for that.
I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to get somebody in here getting along with people.
Yeah. Maybe so. You guys, anybody out here wanna say anything more?
I don't really have anything else to say.
But
Sure.
I have one request, when you're holding these meetings or scheduling these, can I get on the list to get notified? It'd be a lot simpler than all forwarding it to everybody.
Sure,
I'll leave you my card.
perfect.
Yeah, anybody that wants to be on it, I mean, and of course, we have to notify it, in the news review too, so. And I should have mentioned earlier, did we have anybody online that's watching? We have that capability too.
No.
That's why when I asked you to come up, that's so that the people
Oh, okay.
online watching it could,
It felt so intimate right here, like.
It does,
Forgot about that,
they can't hear you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
But you guys, anything more? Okay, well, we'll have to keep the time that we're gonna have the next one open, a little bit till we find out what we've got for the applications, get that, and then we'll probably immediately start trying to schedule another meeting with y'all. That's okay, so I'm sorry to make you South County guys drive up here again, but, okay, with that, I'm gonna adjourn it. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.